we went up to, I didn't like field trips. I guess I was worried about the traffic. I had one driver who was hitting the edge off the curb one time and driving so fast. We went up to the domes, and we went to the museum. Chicago and Milwaukee. We'd take the train to Chicago. Can you imagine?
One time we went to an apple orchard when that pick your own apples became a thing that they still do today.
We went to the museum.
To the zoo in Racine.
Once we went out to Old World, Wisconsin. I don't know if you've ever been there. That's out in the west.
Oh, every fall I would take my class over to Lincoln Park on Thursday morning because the people were there with their trucks and their produce.
We didn't see any whales or anything like that, but we enjoyed our visit to the zoo nonetheless. In those days, it was not an everyday occurrence.
It seems to me I was in a different room for a little while, but pretty much it was 108.
205.
It was 201.
204, I think.
But see, I've been into a lot of different rooms here. I was in 203, and then when I first came, I was in one of the rooms I believe was new down at this end. They had, I guess after the school was built, it already wasn't big enough, and they added like an addition onto the classrooms, and I was in one of those newer rooms.
I was on both floors. I moved around a bit. I was downstairs, clear at the end of the hallway, almost, the next to the last room once, and then I was upstairs on the right-hand side of the hallway, where you look out the windows and you could see the gym, the bricks from the gym out the window. And then I was on the front side of the building where you could look out at the grass and the trees, and the windows were wonderful before they closed them.
When oil became so expensive that they boarded up some of those windows. Some in every room, I think. You know, you see them half boarded up when you drive by.
I went to Ralph Houghton. He was a music teacher, his retirement party. And I sat beside the fellow who was responsible for getting those windows covered up. Ours weren't covered at that time, but there were others that were. And they had figures to prove that it didn't do anything, you know, to save the heat at all. But I understand they still have those up, don't they? That's too bad, because we could go to the window on a real snowy day, you know, and stand there and watch. We could watch the birds. Oh, I hated that. It's too bad they did that.
Huh?
78, 79, we can talk about. We can look through those. Okay.
He died that year.
Oh, that was a sad day when we got that word. That was sad.
I should have known something happened when I walked into the office, because there were all these people in the office. And it was like, why are they here?
Well, I had been here late that night. It happened to be, and he always would be in the office late. And he came in, I was in the lounge, I was just getting ready to go home. And he came in and we were talking. And I didn't really know that, you know, I didn't actually know what had happened. I guess it happened over the weekend until I came to school on Monday morning. And then I was told that he was in the hospital. But still, that he, you know, had been taken there, he had gotten sick. And I think it was Friday night. but it wasn't, and I might have found out before that Monday. Somebody might have called me on Saturday on the weekend. I mean, it's possible that I did get a phone call. And he wasn't back on Monday, and he was at the hospital, and they just said that it was, that, you know, they thought he'd had a heart attack, and it was just like you're waiting. I guess you don't think the worst then, you just think that he's going to be okay. And it wasn't until, I believe it was on Wednesday morning, when we came to school and found out that he had passed away.
I cried. Mhm. Yeah.
And I couldn't do much. The kids couldn't do much.
I was like, you couldn't do anything.
I had written him a letter that very morning before I was going to school, because I knew he was in the hospital, and I wanted to write him a letter of encouragement. And so I was writing that letter of encouragement, and he never got it, you know.
And it was hard, very hard. It was hard for the children. We did not have, like now, you know how they have the social workers or the psychologists in the school, counselors come in to talk. We didn't have anybody like that. I mean, you know, we didn't have all those kinds of programs then. And I guess you just manage. And because you have your classroom, you do what you have to do for your students, because you know that it's very traumatic for them also.
And I think probably that was about the time he should have retired. Also, wasn't it a shame to work his whole life and not ever have a year of retirement? Too bad. It was a shame. And he was very much missed. The PTA was very fond of him, and so were all the teachers.
And the PTA got together, and that's how it got named Grewenow School. It was Sunnyside, you know, before that. But they named it Grewenow. It was kind of hard to get used to that name after being Sunnyside all these years.
And I was happy they named the school after him. But you know, they should name these schools of people when they're alive, not after they're dead. And there's a big portrait. Have you been in the school of him in the hallway? Which I think is nice.
We had a number of principals after that.
After Mr. Grewenow's death in '78, there had been 3 other principals in quick succession who came through. Mr. Herb Upright filled in the rest of the year after Mr. Grewenow passed away. And then Dr. Haynes was here, and then Mr. Nelson, and then Mr. Jensen, and then Dr. Hosmanic and the school board appointed me in 1983 to come here. I came from Lincoln Junior High School, where I was the assistant principal there. And they wanted to have some stability. The parents were looking for stability since there were so many changes of administration so quickly. So I guess I became a permanent fixture, so to speak, and was here for 17 years.
It was an excellent working relationship. I really enjoyed my years working with him.
It was good working with Mr. Fountain. He sort of was a happy individual. Everybody got along quite well with him.